Yes. Over to Kavya. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
yes. Yeah. So now I would like to invite Dr. Reema Rao to moderate the Diet Talk of April episode of MDR meeting. She is Gujarat and India's Dietitian Association leader based in Rajkot. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavya. Uh, Good morning and welcome to the April episode of Metabolic Diseases Review Meeting. Uh, so today it is my absolute privilege to introduce the speaker, Shilpa Joshi. She's a registered dietitian and director of Mumbai Diet and Healthcare, practicing dietitian and a diabetes educator and a very well-known diabetes educator, in fact. She's the vice president for this term, 2019 to 2021, of the Indian Dietetic Association, honorary secretary of All India Association of Advancing Research in Obesity, master trainer of Diabetes Conversation Maps, course director, National Diabetes Educator Program, 2010 to 2019, trained more than 3,000 diabetes educators, presented at various national and international meetings, including American Diabetes Association, International Diabetes Federation, and International Confederation of Dietitians. Runner-up recipient of Wim Femmer Guggenheim's International Essay Award of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetic Foundation on Malnutrition in 2017. Welcome, Shilpa.
Thank you. Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Reema, for the kind words of introduction. Thank you, Kavya, and thank you, Dr. Patel, for having me here. A great idea of holding these meetings. Okay, so I'm going to be speaking on intermittent fasting. I think this is something that I say before most of the nutrition meetings is nutrition tends to go through fashion trends, like there are fashion trends in clothes, even nutrition tends to go through that. And the recent fashion trend is intermittent fasting. That's what everybody is speaking about. And it is like wearing a sari by a very young girl because intermittent fasting is part of our culture from time immemorial. The upvas that we do, or vrat, or even Ramadan, which is going on, is a kind of intermittent fasting, but it's just in vogue in today's day and age. I am not going to be dwelling too much on the slides in beginning, going to show you some data at the end. We know, that bad diets kill people more globally than actually tobacco, etc. Which has been, I'm not saying having tobacco is a good thing, but there is so much spoken about tobacco, but bad diets are rarely spoken about. In fact, when you go to see a movie, there is an ad of person eating tobacco and losing their ear and so on and so forth. But and in that same theater, we buy popcorn for our children. We also buy samosas for our children, and it's as dangerous. And this is the person who made Jack Dorsey, who is CEO of Twitter, actually made these diets very, very popular because he did intermittent fasting. And we know that, again, this is a method of weight loss. Caloric restriction improves health status of normal weight people and is one of the few methods known to prolong lifespan. Reduction of caloric intake between 60 to 70% of its daily requirement increases longevity by 30 to 50%. And we know that we have also seen that and heard that there are a lot of Rishi Munis who lived for hundreds of years in earlier days, and they were all basically on fasting most of the time. So these are various hypotheses. One of them is that there is less production of free radical, and therefore there is longevity is more. And we also have now seen that via our counterpoint study and direct trial, that even type 2 diabetes is a reversible condition of intra-organ excess fat, to which some people are more susceptible than others. And therefore the twin cycle hypothesis, where you give individuals a very, very low calorie diet between 600 and 800 calories, and you find that you are able to reverse the cycles of which take place in creation of metabolic issues, more specifically diabetes, and therefore it can be reversed by just caloric restriction and nothing else. So this is the direct trial, which again, just re-emphasize what Counterpoint study said. And this trial has been going on for now about 2 years, where it has been shown that more is the weight loss, more is reversal of diabetes. And in individuals who lost maximum weight at 12 months, actually were able to keep off diabetes for a longer period of the time. And even in type 2 diabetes, in the 2-year analysis as well, they have shown the same thing, that individuals who were able to keep body weight down were able to reverse their diabetes completely. Now, there are studies where they have shown that what is the effect of meal frequency, because we know, at least as dietitians, when patients come to us, they typically say that should we eat every 2 hours? Is that good? Because that is what was originally thought for management of blood sugar. And it is seen that in individuals who ate more frequently, there is less drop of weight. There is other parameters which are metabolic in nature also drop down much lesser as compared to individuals who ate less frequently. So therefore, these are studies which are showing that. Now we know that fasting is a spiritual discipline other than actually scientific now, which has come. And these are different kinds of intermittent fasting protocols. There's a 5:2, there is lean gain, there is eat stop eat, there is a warrior diet, there is a 16:8 method, which is very, very popular in India, where individuals fast for 16 hours and eat only for 8 hours. So these are recently published data again, where they are talking about different types of intermittent fasting protocols, where there is an alternate day fast. There is a 5:2, that is, you eat for 5 days, but you fast for 2 days, and then there is time restricted feeding. Now, these are benefits of intermittent fasting. So it protects against neurodegenerative disease, insulin levels drop, and human growth hormone increases, reduces insulin resistance and lower blood glucose level, reduces heart disease, so on and so forth, extends lifespan. And this is the pathway through which all these there is an increased health span and increased longevity in animals due to intermittent fasting. So let me go down to few studies which have shown. So there is always a debate whether continuous caloric restriction is better or is it intermittent fasting which is better. And in fact, it has been shown that if individuals are on a low calorie diet, it really does not matter whether intermittent fasting or there is a continuous caloric restriction, but it's very important that calories are low. And the mean difference, though it favors intermittent caloric restriction, this is at ad libitum eating, but if it is on a hypocaloric diet, then it really does not matter. This is Helena's trial, which was one of the first randomized control trial where they had compared intermittent caloric restriction to continuous caloric restriction. And actually, they also showed the same thing. They showed that there was no difference in weight at the end of the study. There was no difference in weight between individuals who were on intermittent caloric restriction versus continuous caloric restriction. So there was no difference in both of the study groups. So because intermittent caloric restriction is so difficult, time restricted feeding, which is 16:8 diet, became very, very popular, where 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating period was done, because it led to less irritability among people. For people who were following 5:2 plan, the day they were fasting, irritability was very, very high in those patients. And again, these are various kinds of evidences that have been coming on alternate day fasting. So there is no change. Again, they are showing there is no change in body weight, but there is increased insulin sensitivity, so on and so forth. So in time restricted feeding, the extended morning fasting did not result in compensatory eating at lunch meal in obese individual. Now, this is a problem which everybody perceives, that if I don't eat breakfast or I don't give breakfast in my patients, then my patients will start eating a very big lunch and try to make up for it. And it has been seen that this does not happen. Usually, as the time progresses, individuals adjust and start eating lower calories even then. So these are outcomes for cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes in individuals on intermittent fasting trials enrolling obese adults with or without type 2 diabetes. And they saw that there was no change in blood pressure, decrease in body weight, decrease in BMI. Even in glucose level, there wasn't as much change as expected. In HbA1c levels, there was a slight bit of drop in insulin levels. So again, these are various studies examining it. Not all studies consistently show the same results, but these are results from a lot of studies which have been coming in. So this is a study again which was examining intermittent fasting on prevention of cardiovascular disease, which showed that people may lose more weight by intermittent fasting than by usual eating over 3 months period, but not when compared against energy restriction. So it's very important to understand, if you eat less, it doesn't matter whether you're doing IF or you're doing CC, that is continuous caloric restriction, as long as you eat less. Eating less is very, very important. So these are some unanswered questions, and I thought this is very well given, and hence I made slides out of this. So these are things which are in all our minds, and I want to dwell on this. Does time restricted feeding during morning, afternoon, or evening have different effects on metabolism? And so their answer is circadian rhythm is biologically regulated. Many animal studies demonstrate metabolic derangements when food intake occurs in the rest phase of that species. Are weight loss independent of intermittent fasting on cardiovascular risk markers and insulin resistance? Prolonged fasting has unique metabolic profiles in animals, and some studies in humans suggest that insulin sensitivity can improve even in absence of weight loss, and that is what we want. Can fasting mimic diets that reduce aging or chronic disease? So rationale for development of fast mimicking diets is to improve these benefits. And is intermittent fasting protocol associated with higher long-term adherence? There are very few studies to actually substantiate it. Now, these are popular claims of IF that increase weight loss as compared to isocaloric diet. There is no evidence to prove that. Reduced hunger compared to traditional caloric restriction, conflicting results. Improved insulin resistance and independent of weight loss, again, the results are conflicting, like I showed you. Improvement in glucose control in type 2 diabetes, RCT shows similar reduction in HbA1c. There is no really difference seen. Anti-aging and anti-inflammatory effects, some animal models have shown that there is anti-aging and anti-inflammatory effects. What are the negative claims? IF would lead to overeating. We have seen that IF does not lead to overeating. It could reduce lean mass, conflicting results. IF is not sustained, again, conflicting results, whether it can be sustained or no. And IF leads to side effect, again, these are not really studied very, very well. So this, I think for this August audience, I don't need to talk about this. How do you manage different individuals with different metabolic issues with IF? So the crux of the problem is avoid dehydration, avoid use of alcohol, and decrease medications as per what you are doing. So we know that we need sustainable diet plans, and we have seen that because we need different things for different people, each to his own. Therefore, intermittent fasting is one of the protocol that has been shown to help in weight loss and control of metabolic parameters. Thank you so much for a patient here.
Thank you so much, Shilpa. Do we take the questions now, Yash, Dr. Yash?
Yes, yes, Rima madam. We have changed the format so we can integrate present, so everyone can be live with the talk.
Yeah.
We have plenty of questions also coming in.
Yeah.
And there are the host would not be able to raise hand, so they can directly ask your question directly. Yes, there is a question from Dr. Mayur Patel. There are plenty of questions coming. Yes.
Yeah, so there is a question from Dr. Mahadev Desai that when we advise intermittent fasting to diabetes patients, we have to reschedule our oral medicines.
Yes, definitely, especially if your patients are on sulfonylureas or AGIs, you really need to reschedule the drugs. You need to talk to your patients about even what do they eat. You know, there are a lot of patients which I have seen who do IF and also stop eating carbohydrates. They do everything together. Full advantage chahiye wo utne hi time mein. So if they are doing that, then you want them to have very little sulfonylureas or AGIs and look at some other kind of drug.
So there's another question from Dr. Chitra. Would you recommend skipping breakfast or skipping dinner for IF, especially 16 to 8 hours?
So,
Any difference in the
yeah.
outcome?
Thank you, Dr. Chitra, for that question. So, I have seen skipping dinner to be very, very effective. I think it is because probably the circadian biology also kicks in, and probably because I live in Mumbai, people eat dinner at 10 p.m. only. Nobody is eating dinner at 6 o'clock. So I think circadian biology really kicks in at that point, wherein we have shown some data where when there is a rest phase, which is natural for that species of animal, you don't need to eat. Typically, also what happens is, my observation is, when you come back home tired at 10 p.m., you want to eat everything that is in your house. You know that you don't want to leave any stone unturned. And I think if that is something that you can control on, then you have had a lot of benefit. If you can eat a breakfast and a late lunch, probably by 3:34, and then stop eating altogether.
There is a question from Dr. Mayur Patel. Role of intermittent fasting in lean, normal weight diabetics and taking insulin. What could be the benefit of it?
So probably even in lean diabetics, they are lean in BMI. We are really not sure how lean are they in their body fat percentage. And if they, at lower BMI, if their body fat percentage is high, especially if there is a lot of abdominal obesity, I think it will work. But one word of caution, although studies don't talk about that, because when they say IF, they always talk about ad libitum eating in IF. I think if IF meals are planned, this is more effective. So you do IF, but you definitely go to a dietitian to see what you have to eat when you are on IF. And I think if that happens, then the weight loss is better. Fat loss is better because you're concentrating more on protein, more on complex carbohydrates and other things. I think it will work. But again, insulin doses have to be adjusted accordingly.
Yes, adjusted according. There is a question from Dr. Mikal Khanna. Sorry, Rima madam.
Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Yash.
Is there a diet in a COVID patient with diabetes who is on intermittent fasting?
I think anyway, COVID patients find it very difficult to eat food. With all the drugs that is given, there is so much gastritis and reflux and forget all the drugs. The scare is so much. They are so scared that they are really not able to eat. Anyway, they are fasting. So I think please don't recommend IF while they are, at least when they are having an issue, not to IF, because they are naturally doing it because because of anorexia of the infection per se. But as far as possible, lot of fluids, lot of proteins, good micronutrient rich diet which comprises of vegetables, fruits, so on and so forth. So highly encouraged to have soups, soups, sharbats of nimbu pani, chach, kokum sharbat, these kind of things. They become a good source as long as they don't have diabetes. If they have diabetes, we have to really think of how to sweeten these beverages, but they can be taken without sweetening also.
So we have a comment from our consultant, Dr. Mahadev Desai. Sir, I have asked you to unmute. You can go ahead and share your knowledge on it.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make that dinner part. It's better to make it light rather than no dinner, because most of our patients are on either sulfonylurea or insulin, and the nocturnal hypoglycemia, if it gets undetected, it can produce more danger.
Yes, it's very important. If they are doing IF, then either get it out, or then if they need to have it, then you figure out a small snack which can be given, which can sort of tide over that peak of sulfonylurea.
Or we can adjust the dose, like rather giving anti-hypoglycemic medications, we can give anti-hyperglycemic.
Could it be a chance to extend the time rather than 16 to 8 to 12 or somewhere 10, 12 or 10, 20?
Honestly, I'll tell you, Dr. Yash, that in India, people eat so much and so often that even if you can give them 4 hours of fasting, there is a benefit. Forget 16. Even if they don't eat between 2 meals, there is a lot of benefit. First thing when people come to us is they ask us, "Ke nashta milega na beech mein?" So if they can even stop that beech mein ka nashta, they have done a lot of good for themselves.
Yeah, so
We are always in postprandial phase.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's so much conditioned that because they have diabetes, they have to eat. There is so much, it's a conditioned reflex for them to snack.
Yes, thank you everyone. Please, sorry we extended this session, but this was some of the interactive session, and today we have liberty. Rather than 4 articles, we have kept 1. So let's make it to time. Yes, Kavya.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you
sir.
so much.
Yeah, thank you Shilpa madam. Thank you Rima madam. It is indeed pleasure.
So now, Hina ma'am has started the.
You can. It is intermittent. They will share the slides, so you can go
Okay.
ahead, please.